'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
We had a game against Salt Lake. Don't remember what year. After 1 minute, Begeman went after Roger, and he got him bad.
Yeah.
Nasty.
Classic matchup.
I got a nasty one after 1 minute. And Roger went up to Kyle Begeman and told him, and I heard it, if you have more than one touch on the ball the rest of this game here, I'm going to end your career. For 89th minute plus overtime, Kyle Begeman played with one touch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another shade of blue. We are the Blue Testament. My name is Cody Bradley. Thad Bell and Robert Russert are here as always. That absolute banger of a song you're hearing is called My Football Team's Got Me Drinking by the Vanden Arms. So we've got a big win for the show tonight. Even if he's doing it while operating a motor vehicle, still a big win for Shades of Blue. He is notorious around MLS if your team was playing him, but a true fan favorite here. And I'm going to say it, one of the best players to ever wear the jersey here in Kansas City. He's now coming back to SKC, this time as part of the technical staff. Benny Feilhaber, welcome.
Dude, that is a hell of an introduction. I appreciate it. There have been some greats in the Sporting KC jerseys, so I don't know if you were exaggerating maybe a little bit, but I am very appreciative of that introduction.
One of the most talented players, at least, to ever wear the jersey.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, don't take it back, Cody.
Oh, definitely, absolutely not. One of my all-time faves, just because of the personality. And Peter Vermes once said, "You have the loudest mouth in the league." That is another reason you were one of my favorites.
Yeah, that might not be an exaggeration, though.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty accurate.
All right, so I know you've touched on this before in your initial press conference, but just for our listeners here, what exactly are you expecting your role to be here on the technical staff? Like, what do you see your day-to-day is going to be like?
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to take a little bit more of shape in terms of, what it's going to look like. We haven't started training yet, so the coaching aspect of it hasn't gotten into full gear yet. We haven't been going out to trainings and seeing the guys on a daily basis, so that's still to be determined. But I mean, I see my day going very similar to that of an assistant coach. I'm going to be involved in, the planning of the trainings, the weekly training sessions, the getting prepared for, the teams that we're playing against, scouting the opposing team, preparing our team for however we are going to set up against that team. And then obviously being in the room with Peter, Carey, and Z and figuring out, what we need to improve on, what's working well, all those kind of things. And so that for me is huge because, I definitely have a goal at sometime in the future to be a head coach and nowhere better to be than to learn from Peter and that staff. And so in that sense, I'm very excited. Peter's also going to involve me in the business aspect in terms of like the GM work that he does. I'll be involved with Brian Bliss constantly, Megan Cameron,
Nice.
Josh Duffy, who's in charge of, a lot of the things that go on in the academy And so it really is this kind of holistic approach of what goes on in the first team and tie that in with what's going on in the academy and the B team, to kind of be that, I think, that second pair of eyes for Peter, for me to kind of relay the information, because I'll be there, maybe once, twice a week to kind of, I think, involve myself with the players there, let them know that, look, there is a connection there from the first team and second team. And one thing that's changed over the last 4 years after we moved to the new facility is those guys don't see us as much as anymore, and so it was a positive thing for them to be able to see and relate to the first team to some degree and kind of have that ambition to get there. But now, since we're in different locations, it's good to kind of reconnect. And I think I'll be a guy that can help out, being there, seeing the guys. They can get to know me. They know that there's people from the first team actively watching them, and they can ask questions and feel connected to the first team. And conversely, I can kind of help Peter with, giving him information with players, how I think they're progressing, what needs to improve, what is going well, and all those kind of things, because Peter's a very, holistic person in terms of wanting to know how every aspect of the organization and club are working or functioning.
Benny, you sound like you're going to be busy.
Yeah, but one thing that Peter will tell you this, but I wholeheartedly agree and always have. You're not busy if you love what you're doing. Busy sounds like a negative word, where man, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do that. And I feel like I'm going to be productive, and that's a better word for it. But man, I mean, this is, I was talking to the guys today. I'm like, this is just me, when I was a player, so many things, I wondered how things worked and how, behind the curtain, so to speak. And so now I'm getting a real glimpse at, removing the curtain and seeing the Wizard of Oz back there, so to speak, of how everything works. And so it's fascinating to me, and I'm really excited about it.
So maybe engrossed is a good word, but all right. I need to get used to calling you coach instead of Benny, I guess. But so, okay. First day of training, let's say, do you go up to Graham Zusi, put your arm around him and say, Graham, I know you've been doing it this way for a while, but how about this way? I mean, how are you going to approach being the coach for former teammates? I know you've talked about that a little bit, but are you an arm around the shoulder kind of guy, or what's it going to be?
I mean, I think I'm a little bit of both. I think the beautiful thing about what I'm going to be able to do is I have a different connection with a lot of these players, and maybe even the guys that I don't necessarily know that well, than Peter, Carey, and Z. I mean, they've been coaches for so long, whereas I was a teammate of these guys less than, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And so the ability to kind of talk to them honestly, and yes, be in their corner, but also relate the ideas from the coaches to them, and let them know that, look, my job is to improve the team, not to, in any way come at a player and have them, not be utilized in the right way and not get the best of them. I mean, it's literally what's best for the guy, what's best for the team. And my goal is to be able to use my relationships with those players, since I'm so, not long removed from that environment, to be able to have them, connected from the coaching staff to the players. And I think that's something that I can definitely do at a high level, and be able to influence the team to perform at just, a more efficient way.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Benny, one of the things that the fans and the media always loved about you is you were very honest and sometimes a little bit outspoken about certain things. Is that something you're worried about, that you're going to have to kind of pull back a little bit now? And, is it, maybe something Peter's talked to you about, or is that just something he doesn't even notice?
No, I think within the organization, so within our circle, our circle of trust, so to speak, right? I think that'll be a benefit to me, be able to speak to Peter and the staff, Bliss, and the players. I think the ability of me to be honest, and people know that about me, I think that's going to be a positive, because people aren't going to think, oh man, what's his ulterior motive here? What is he trying to get at? And that's sometimes how players think. It's like, why is the coach saying this to me? Or, is there a reason for that, or what's he trying to get out of it, and whatever. And I think most guys know for sure, the guys that have been around me know that, look, I'm a no filter kind of guy. I'm going to tell you what I think, and let's have an honest conversation. If you disagree, let's talk it out and figure out what's best. And I think that'll benefit me for sure. I think the one situation where I'll have to pull back a little bit is more that public side, right? And I think as a player, I tended to say, what I thought. And I think as a coach, you gotta always protect the club, the organization. And there are certain things that you don't want to share with the outside world, whether it be, media, whether it be, friends or colleagues that you've known along the course of your career that maybe work for other teams in the league or whatnot. And those kind of things will be things that I have to actively think about and not divulge too much information. Definitely not any information that I don't want other people to know about our organization, because it could potentially affect us in a competitive way. And so those kind of things I think I'll have to, be a little bit smarter with. But in terms of my honesty with the guys within the club, I think that'll be a huge positive.
Cool. Well, we're going to go ahead and test you on that right away here. I do remember you speaking about, the CBA discussions and things like that in the past. And that's obviously at the forefront of news around MLS right now. So I was very curious to hear your perspective on a potential lockout and everything going on with the league and the players union.
I mean, I would be very disappointed, because I'm so excited about this season, the team that we have, my goal in terms of immersing myself into it and learning and being in a normal, season-long environment. So I would be very disappointed if for some reason either the season doesn't go, or it's shortened, or it's locked out, or whatever. But I mean, obviously I understand how it works. I've been part of that process as a player. It's hard work. It's time consuming. And sometimes, you feel like sometimes you reach an impasse. I'm hoping that's not the case now, but we'll have to wait. I know that I think there was a deadline sometime this week. But we'll see what happens. I mean, in terms of what I do from day to day doesn't change until we have more information. But I mean, if you're asking me personally, I really hope that it gets worked out one way or another, where it makes sense for both sides. And I think that's happened in the past, and hopefully the players and the owners can find a way to get this done.
I think you are finding a good way to balance out your giving a good political answers, Benny. Good job.
I mean, that's political and honest. But yeah, I think I accept your what's the word I'm looking for?
It was a compliment. It was a compliment.
Your compliment, I guess. Yeah, exactly. Your compliment.
All right. Well, we won't test you too much on that. We're not a very serious show here. We like to be the exact opposite of serious and make fun of shows that are serious. So, how about, what is the most pissed off you ever saw Peter Vermes?
Pissed off. Good one. I'll
who
tell
pissed
you,
him off?
I don't think he was pissed off on this one. I was actually not on the team. I don't think he was pissed off, but it was almost like he was so surprised. And that was when they were playing the second game of the year against Vancouver in 2020. That's
exactly what I was
pandemic.
Thinking about.
And when he could not believe, I mean, I'm not going to say the word that, somebody told him apparently on the Vancouver bench. And the funny thing is Mark DeSantos is the coach. So I know it wasn't him, but I think it was one of the assistant coaches, but it's just funny. They've worked together. I knew Mark from LAFC, and I was like, oh my God, who just said what Peter is saying that, they called him. And Peter was just, it was unbelievable. I mean, obviously people made a meme of it and whatnot, or a GIF, and it was hilarious. But I'm sure he was pissed off, but it was almost like so much surprise that he couldn't really be too angry.
Yeah, one of the best gifts the league has ever produced, without a doubt.
For sure.
All right, Benny. So I'm going to go back to high school for me here. And I was impressed and somewhat surprised to see that Don Ebert was a coach of yours. I'm in St. Louis and he played indoor soccer there. But anyway, speaking of coaching, the whole coach thing, my high school coach, yeah, he was a baseball coach. He wasn't a soccer coach. He hated the football guys though. And his catchphrase was, every time in practice, he said this at least once: if you can't handle it out here, go be a pussy and put on the pads. So that was his coaching catchphrase. Two-part question. One, what are some catching coach phrase that Vermes or Bob Bradley had, and what do you think yours might be? What's going to be your coaching catchphrase?
Ooh, that's a really hard question. You should have given me this question before I came on the air. I'm not going to be able to come up with this off the top of my head.
You don't have any Benny-isms that are your go-to?
Yeah, I don't. Not really. I mean, I probably do, but like when you say it, you don't realize, and other people would say like, "Yeah, you say that all the time."
Right.
So yeah. I'm not exactly sure, but Bob, I remember, would always say that it's about the work. It's about.
That sounds very Bob Bradley.
And the other one that he says is, "Can we raise the bar?" And so that's definitely one for Bob. Peter, man, I don't know if Peter has one that I can really, go back to.
I think it's "fuck off." I think that's Peter's catchphrase.
I mean, Peter doesn't. It's funny, like towards the players, he wouldn't talk like that very often. I mean, but yeah, he's. I don't know about Peter. I'll have to get back to you on that one. And then for me, oh man, I don't know. I think I would say that. I don't know if I have a catchphrase, but I'll always stick to the more, tactical side of the game as opposed to the brouhaha, and so I'll never be a guy that's go, let's fucking go. Like, that's not me. I'm not going to coach like that. Get them, pumped up and that kind of thing. So I'm always the guy that will come off to the guy in the corner and be like, hey, by the way, this is one thing that I noticed. Maybe try and utilize that or something like that. But catchphrases, you're going to have to ask me in like 2-3 years from now, and I'll let you know if I developed one or not, because I can't come up with it on the top of my head.
Deal.
Well, we'll definitely catch you somewhere by the end of the year to see if you have one, though.
Fair. That's fair enough.
All right, because I think Peter actually changes his every year, at least for the media, because he says things like every roll of the ball was one for a long time. Oh, yeah. At the end of the day, we do this, but it changes like every year.
That's a good Peter one. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
I've heard that one from Peter before.
All right. Following up on these questions, because I've wanted to ask this before, but you can probably be a little more honest with me now. What's the stupidest question somebody in the media has ever asked you? And part 2 is, did I ask it?
Well, part 2, there's no way I will remember whoever asked any stupid questions.
Good for Thad to know that.
It's because he just doesn't care that much.
Well, I won't say it's the stupidest question I've ever been asked, but it was the question that was actually super innocent that led to, I think, maybe the biggest rivalry with Salt Lake, which was I got asked, what was the question? It had to do. So if you guys remember that.
I already know where you're going. Of course.
That I don't know if you were there or who was there during that week, but I got a press conference the week of. Do you remember what team we were playing that week?
RSL.
Anybody? No, we were not playing RSL. That's the funny thing.
Oh,
we weren't playing RSL.
Nice.
No, I'm sure I was there though.
So the question was something like, what are your biggest rivalries in the league, and where would you put, what's the biggest rivalry you have, or whatever?
Oh, it was probably Chicago or Houston.
Houston.
Yeah.
Houston.
We were playing the Houston Dynamo that week, and I didn't even think about, they're asking a question about the Houston Dynamo. Like, I didn't even think about that. And obviously, I mean, so one thing from my perspective is I wasn't here for 11 or 12. And so,
right.
that probably, kind of went over my head for during that moment.
Right.
And obviously we beat them in 13. But for me, I mean, Salt Lake was always the game that we really, we wanted to beat them. They wanted to beat us. It got like, physical and that kind of thing. And so it was right away. I said it without even like stuttering. I was like, yeah, Salt Lake's the biggest rivalry we got. And everybody was hoping that I'd talk about Houston because that's who we were playing against. So it was kind of, I wouldn't say it was a stupid question or even a stupid answer, but it kind of just like went in a stupid way where nobody was expecting it, And so that was funny. And
everybody
I guess,
in the media is looking at each other like,
whatever you want
to
to call
say
that.
But see, that's exactly why we
People were
loved
probably
you,
looking
Benny.
around like, what's that?
That's exactly why we loved you. Is you didn't care what the question we asked. It was you just gave us the right answer.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that I'll have to learn from that.
And that was very rare. That's very rare among Sporting KC players who are all very well media trained. Matt Beasler, the robot, just gives like the most political great answer every time. So that was why you stood out so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the time that I've been doing this stuff, you were in the top 2. I'm not going to say number 1 or number 2, top 2 most honest answering people consistently. I mean, every once in a while, some players would be very open, but a lot of times they wouldn't be as open. But it was you and Jimmy Nielsen.
Oh, really? Yeah. Jimmy's a good one though, because somehow he always makes an answer sound good though too.
Yeah.
He'll be honest, but it's always like, oh yeah, that's great. Like we love Jimmy. It was always a good answer.
Both friends of the show. Jimmy has been on a couple times. We got the two sporting legends. It's friends of the show.
Yeah. Jimmy's the man.
I do have to say, going back to Bob Bradley, he's the only guy I've ever pissed off in an interview. So yeah, he's pretty straightforward, I think, too.
He looks like he'd be easy to piss off too. Short rope for him.
Yeah, I've pissed off a few players, and probably pissed off PV a couple times too.
So Benny, forgive me here.
Be careful what you guys ask then.
Yeah. I've got a kind of a long-winded question here. A lot of the times when players leave the game, they either choose the route of a broadcaster or coaching, and you're kind of towing the line in between with both there as a member of the technical staff, and you've of course got the SBI podcast, which I think is fantastic. And the best part of that show for me is like we've been talking here about honest and open. The players you have on give you these answers as if you are just speaking to them, not on the air, not doing a podcast, when essentially it is the same as if they were, answering a question post game to the newspaper beat reporter or on a local radio show. So I'm interested in what you think the difference is, or how you're able to get some of this stuff out from these players. Is it just that they trust you, that you'll cut something that might get them in trouble, or that's what I'm going for in an interview, is to get that much openness from the person I'm interviewing. And so I respect that a lot, and that's my favorite part of the show. So I was curious as your thoughts on all of that.
I would say that it has to do more than just that, but we do give that option to everybody. At the end of every show, we're like, hey, is there anything that we went over that you don't want to be out there? And so they do know that before and after. We remind them that, look, anything that you want out, we get out. So obviously that's one thing, but I don't think that, I think it makes a huge difference who's interviewing them. And regardless of everybody else gets to listen to it the same way, whether it's my podcast, your podcast, or, whoever's podcast. I do think it just makes a difference. And the fact that we have all shared the field at one point, whether we played on the same team or against each other, or maybe not even against each other, but, we've both been through whatever it is that, professional athletes go through. I think there's just a sense of respect there, and it benefits me and Ike and Sal to be able to ask those questions and get honest responses. And I think that, it's kind of similar to something that I hope I can take into, the coaching profession and utilize that. Look, there's a sense of respect. I was a player a year and a half ago. How can we get the best out of you? And what I'm saying is being honest, and I want honesty back from the player. And I think that's one thing that I hope to utilize as a coach, to get the best out of the players that I'm coaching. And so, unfortunately for you guys, I don't think you're going to be able to get the same honesty out of professional athletes as me, Ike, and Sal were able to. I'm sorry to
Of course.
give you that information.
I thought we just did, Benny. I thought we just did.
Yeah, that felt real. All right, so we got how about one more question, and we'll let you get out of here.
It's an easy one.
A very easy one. I know you're a big. I've heard you talking sports, and every post games there were always an NBA game or something on the TV there in the locker room. So I got to ask you here, and you spent some time in New England, so just got to make sure. I'm going to give you a softball one here. Brady or Mahomes?
Mahomes.
Real tough answer there.
All right,
dude. I'll just follow up by saying the Chiefs are head and shoulders better team than the Bucks. I'd be shocked if they don't win, but you never know. Brady is still the quote unquote GOAT because he's obviously won as many times as he has. I honestly don't think Brady at any point in his career was as good as Mahomes is right now. As much as he's won, he knows how to win. He's been on good teams.
Yep.
But Mahomes has all the. I think it really is similar to a Jordan LeBron debate. But we'll see. I think Mahomes will win this one, and I'm sure he'll win some more down the line. But it's a good question. Although I think I would just take Mahomes at any point in time, really.
Yeah. The man knows how to please Kansas City fans.
Hey, don't forget I'm a Ravens fan. So had it been,
that's true.
Had it been the AFC Championship game that I was hoping for, I wouldn't have been pro Chiefs, but I've adopted the Chiefs as my second team. So if the Ravens are out, then let's go Chiefs.
Good. Yeah. On that note, I sent some messages to get some intel on you for good questions to ask. So we've got a lot more we can ask you. So we hope to have you back on again soon, but we thank you very much for joining and yeah, good luck this season, man.
Thanks guys. I appreciate you having me on and let me know when I can come back on.
All right, cool. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Coach.
All right,
thanks, Benny.
Thanks, Benny.
See you guys. Bye.
All right. So we're going to get him next week, right? That's what we're going to do.
Maybe we should let him coach a practice first.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I guess so. If the practices ever happen, I guess the practices will happen. It's if the games actually start.
Tomorrow's the deadline, right?
Is that what it is? Yeah, I meant to look that
Awesome.
up whenever he mentioned it.
They extended it a day. I think it was supposed to be tomorrow, but they said they extended it 24 hours.
Oh, really? Okay.
MLS just came out with an announcement, but I was never sure if it was tonight at midnight or tomorrow at midnight or what. So they said they made some progress. They extended it 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
I didn't read the email in detail because I was rushing to do other stuff.
We think that's going to get settled, right? They're going to figure this out. There's not going to be a lockout.
Yes. Well, if there's a lockout, I don't think it'll be long, but I think MLS is getting tore up in, by the fans, media.
The court of public opinion.
Yeah. So, it's one of those, like, I can understand the desire to minimize some risk over time and all that shit, but they just went about it in a terrible, terrible, terrible way. And they've lost every ounce of goodwill at that point. So,
Yeah, tomorrow night, midnight is the deadline.
In my opinion, yes, there will be games, there will be practices, and even if there is a lockout, I don't think it'll be super long, because I'm guessing I forget the exact start time for the season, but we still got a couple weeks before, training camps officially open too. So.
All right, Thad, well done on locking down the Benny, taking a shot. The shooter's got to shoot, right? He took a shot. We got Benny on the pod, so well done on that, man. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Blue Testament KC, and join us at thebluetestament.com and leave us a comment. And we'll talk to you soon. Go Sport Egg!
Either side don't seem so tough, and 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer, attention. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.